So for this method, we note that material strength also can be based on more than 95% guarantee rate. And it's lower percentage value. So what's the mean? That's FSFC, those strengths of the still the concrete. Here we see maybe C50, C40, this is fixed value. But this fixed value is how we got this fixed value. This value is come from a loss of experiment, and this value can represent 95% guarantee for this result, test result. So here you see the fixed value. Actually, it's a value got by the mathematical method using the probability method to guarantee 95% guarantee for the test results. So it's based on load value is also based on the statistic of the various loads. If possible, according to the model, they also use this level, 95% guarantee level. So material strength coefficient and load factor are both based upon the engineering appearance. Load variation coefficient have a different value. This method is characteristic by the selection of the safety factor, which has changed from pre-empirical to partially probability statistic. However, in essential, this method is a semi-empirical, semi-probabilistic approach. So that means also some value of this strength of this factor is we got by the statistic method. You see, so the statistic method is each method of probabilities. But some of this is based on the experiment experience. So in this method, multi-factor design method, is essentially a semi-empirical and semi-probabilistic method. But so this method is a little bit more than or better than this former two methods, the allowable stress method and the fracture phase for design method. So this is the multi-factor design method. And the fourth method is the reliability-based probabilistic limited state method. So when we reach this method, we use this probabilistic limit. Use this now. Finally, we use this probabilistic method in design. Reliability-based probabilistic limit state design is based on reliability theory proposed by American scholar Professor, I pronounce this, in 1940s. So this method actually is very young, 80 years old. So the reliability theory made a great progress in the 60s and 70s. Until 70s, structural reliability theory has been practically used in the field of civil engineering on the international civil quality development. So until 1970s, this method has been practically used in the design. And in China, actually, we use this method compared with the other countries, some later, later. In middle of the 1970s, we began to start this theory, and at the later 1980s, start to use this method. And now, some of the code is using this method. So structure probabilistic design method was divided into 3 levels in terms of development progress. Namely, level 1, for the first level, is a semi-probability design method. Actually, this first level, level 1, is similar to the multi-factor method. It's also semi-probability. Some parameters that influence structure reliability was statistically analyzed and combined with experiment experience, and they reduce some of the empirical coefficients, and so structural reliability cannot be quantitatively estimated. Actually, this level is the same. It's the same thing with this multi-factor, but this factor is similar empirical and similar probabilistic. So this level 1 actually is referred to multi-factor method. And the level 2 approximate probabilistic design method using probability theory and mathematical statistics, structure reliability of the component structure and cross-section are relatively approximately estimated. The relation of the variable with time is ignored or simplified in analysis, and the non-linear limit state equation is linearized. So this second level, actually now at present, in lots of code of design method, use the probabilistic method is this level. Compared with the multi-factor, this level is more development. But in this method, the shortcoming is this: the relation of the variable with time is ignored, because the variable will change with time. But in this method, is ignored or simplified in analysis. And the non-linear characteristic is also linearized. This is the second level. The third level, core probability design. This guy is going on research. So actually, this level is ideal level. Well, it's not. It's very hard, or till now it have not put in use. It's just a theory. For core probability design, it's just the ideal thing. What's this? Ideal. Yes, I think it's just ideal thing, ideal method. Cannot real use full probability. It's so difficult because lots of things you cannot get the real theory. Lots of things you need to depend on the experience or the experiments, especially in the civil engineering or the reinforced concrete or some of those plastic materials. Some things you cannot get the theory. You just rely on the experiment or the experience. So use the core probability method. It's just an ideal method. It's not really used. So that's the real situation with this design method. finish, we have rest.
Okay.
Of course, when we design any structure, the first thing is to keep making safety. No stress requirement. Structure should withstand all kinds of load occurring during the normal construction and the normal service, plus impose the deformation and the constrained deformation. So this means your structure should be strong enough to resist all the load your structure may meet. All kinds of load during the normal construction and the service, plus impose deformation and the constant deformation. That's for the first fact, safety, the first requirement. The second requirement is applicability. Actually, the first one, safety, is related to the loading carrying capacity. The second, applicability, related to the serviceability. Structure has good working performance and normal service conditions. Actually, this is the serviceability, applicability. So this safety and applicability is two requirements of the structure. And the third one is the durability. Structure has enough durability in specified time and non-operation and normal maintenance. Durability. The new bridge after construction put into use. Normally for the bridge, the design life normally is 100 years. But sometimes maybe 10 years or 20 years ago, suddenly it collapsed. So that means the durability is not good, it's not suitable. So maybe the material doesn't reach the requirement or the construction method or something like this. So that's the durability. So at least the structure you design meet the design life of your structure, maybe 40 years or 100 years. Maybe after 100 years, the structure is still okay, still can use, but just the reliability is not so high, but it still can use. But it cannot, maybe having reached 100 years, maybe 30 years, 40 years, it cannot be used, it collapse. So that means the durability is not good. It doesn't meet the requirement. So this is the requirement. The fourth requirement, stability. Stability means after accidental load and the incident, the structure can still maintain stable, not collapse. So this stability, maybe I think, for example, the earthquake. During the earthquake, the structure, maybe some part of the structure destroyed, but the total structure can still remain stable. So that means you can, after the earthquake, you can do repair the structure. After repair, the structure still can use. If the structure in the earthquake totally collapsed, so that means the stability is not it doesn't meet the requirement. It's not good. So after a signature load or incident, the structures can still maintain stable. The structural reliability. This reliability refers to the capability that structure complete scheduled function in the specified time. This specified time design first period. This specified time is not the life of the structure. The life is longer than this specified time. This design reference period for grid maybe 100 years, but the life maybe 200 or even 1,000 years is possible. So that's the difference. And the specified condition. See, specified time, this time means the design reference period. A specified condition, this condition is with reference to the normal design, construction, and the service structure, and consists of safety, strength and stability, applicability, and durability. Structural reliability refers to quantitative description of the reliability using probability method. So this like, I wonder if you understand this or not. A little bit complicated. I think it just remember the last one. The structural reliability refers to quantitative description of the reliability using probability method. So what's the structural reliability? Just refer to the quantitative description. So we need to got a method to description the reliability. How to description? Like the 95% guarantee, 95% guarantee, something like this. Or you got this some probability index. The specified time refer to the design reference period. It's determined according to this Chinese code. Also another kind of different code. Generally, design reference period for bridge structure is 100 years. Structural design service period is associated with the structural life, but it's not the same, not identical. Structural life normal and should longer than this design reference period. If the structure is properly designed, but if it is poor quality, maybe this life is shorter than the design reference period. When the structure service life exceeds design service life, this doesn't mean that the structure is scrapped, but the reliability decreases. So maybe after 100 years, that doesn't mean that after 100 years this grid or this building cannot use. This still can be used, but the reliability, the safety maybe not so high, maybe just like a human, maybe after 100 years old, it's still alive, but it's not so strong. It's easy to get sick, something like this. Specified condition refer to specified normal construction, design, operation, this. So the limited state, actually, this limited state is an important thing when we design. Limited state for the district design actually normally we see the second. We normally divide into this ultimate limited state and serviceability limited state and failure safety limited state. This is three different limited states. So this is whether in high structure or part of the structure. So what's the name of the limited state? limit state. That means once this state is reach or break, the structure will some bad thing will happen. Maybe crash, maybe cannot be used or something like this. So that's when the entire structure or part of the structure exceeded. Echoed. The weather, is something so dry.
Oh yeah.
Exceeding a particular state cannot meet the design need, the functional requirement. This particular state is called a limited state. So during our design, the limited state is divided into these three parts, different situations. Ultimate limited state, serviceability limited state, and failure safety limited state. For this ultimate limited state, actually this refers to the loading carry capacity. Once this limit is exceeded, that means the structure will collapse, destroyed. So the serviceability limited state, once this limit is exceeded, that means the structure may have a very large deformation, or very large crack, or very large crack stress. But this structure may be still okay, doesn't fail, doesn't collapse, but it's not cannot normal use. Because suppose the break, because of large deformation, I think it can. Error is failed to drive across, so it's cannot use normal use. So the failure safety limited state. Actually, this failure safety limited state actually is this one. Is this actually I think it related to the stability, especially in the earthquake or something accidental situation. Failure or mainly refer to the extension of load, like the earthquake or shock or the shake or some some fire, sometimes it's very rare, but sometimes happen. For this situation, so the ultimate limit state corresponding random element or structure reaches the maximum load capacity, or is appropriate to bear deformation and can be present as this different situation. The whole structure or part of the structure lost balance as a rigid body, so it cannot keep balance because it is not. That means it's going to fall down or collapse. A structure component or connect joint feel exceeding material strength. Say exceeding material strength. So exceeding material strength, that means the material broken, like the column or the beam. If the column exceeding the strength of the reinforced concrete, that means the column will break. So the structure becomes a mobile system. So what's the mobile system? You know have you learned this? Actually, mobile system is the concept in
Can move.
mechanics. Yes, it can move. Like this triangle is stable.
Yeah.
It can move. But if you if there is no this like this,
Not stable.
so it's movable. It can move.
Yeah.
So once the structure becomes a mobile system, so that means this structure is not reaching the ultimate limit state. Lost the, just like lost the balance, cannot keep balance. And stability of the structure member is lost. Same thing. Deformation is too large, and the structure cannot continue to carry load because it's too large and there's no capacity to carry load. That means it's going to break or fall down. So in China, you got how to say this architect. I think you just like the last stroke, okay. Something like this. Just at this point, you put a piece of the straw on it, like just limit the state. The last straw, do you ever use this word? How to describe this situation? You know the last how to say? I'm not sure if you if you use your own word, how to describe this limit state.
Which one? The last trick?
Last phrase.
No, the name you use. The name. Chinese, you give it the name. The last trick.
The last straw. So normally we use to describe some people. They have a very heavy burden, and then if you got another a little.
The one we add is the, how can I say, is making full, like is the when you put it in making full and it's short.
Yeah, that's this limits there. Because you see the straw is very very light. Straw. If you put one straw on it, just collapse or fall. That means this is the limit state. Not most time we use the last straw in Chinese. 最后一根稻草 we just try to describe some people. They have a very heavy burden or pressure. You give her a little more pressure. This time this collapse. How to describe queen? Collapse, breakdown, nerves breakdown. How to describe nerves breakdown? People's nerves breakdown.
Nervous breakdown.
Yes. If you get very
Conscious. Unconscious.
calm. Which one is this? Ruin. Nervous breakdown. We use this word. Nervous breakdown. Okay. So this is the solution for the ultimate limit state. Once the structure appears, those divisions, that means that this structure reached the ultimate limit state. And for the serviceability limit state, meaning corresponding then structure or component reach the normal service or specified limited value or durability. So that's this division. Affecting the normal use due to appearance of deformation. Affecting the normal use due to the local damage or durability. Affecting the normal use due to shock. Affecting the normal use due to the other specified states. Just like on the bridge, maybe the handrail, some handrail break. Yeah, that means for the pedestal, for the keyboard, this is not safety. That's some of the serviceability limit state. You cannot meet the requirement of the design requirement, or some of the bridge maybe just one of the simply supported the beam. If the deformation like this, because it can you just drive across it? I think most people is afraid to drive across it. So that means the two line deformation. But the bridge still stands there. The bridge doesn't collapse, but it cannot use. So that's the difference. The serviceability and the ultimate limit is different. This serviceability just related to the use, and the ultimate is to the loading carry capacity. So the failure safety limit state refers to the local damage caused by accident, and the remaining part may not cause the state of the progress collapse. According to this Chinese code, safety fracture limit state including in the ultimate limit. So this is the failure safety limit state. Merely refer to this damage caused by accident, earthquake, the shock of the ship, shock of the car, or the fire, flow, something like this. And the structure failure and the reliability index. We use what type of index to describe this? In reliability analysis, structural performance, this function is used to describe a structure in this state. We use this structural performance function. They are n random variables, x1, x2, xn, affecting structure reliability, and the structure limit state equation Z is composed of the load effect and the structure resistance. So Z is the structure limit state equation. Z equal to Z brackets x1, 2, 3, n equal to Rs equal R minus S. R is the structural resistance, S is the load effect. So that means your structure should be strong enough, larger than the load effect induced by the load and the deformation, the constraints, something like this. So when the value is larger than 0, it's a reliable state. Equal to is a limit. It's smaller than exceed the limit state. It's failure. So for the external load, or we call it action, because the factor induce the structure internal phase, not only load. Also some of the deformation or the constraint will induce the internal force. So we say the action is the region of the structure internal force. Deformation, stress and strain, and divided into direct action and indirect action. Direct action is very easy, like when the human or the vehicle, the load, and the self-weight, something like this, it's applied to the structure directly. Concentrated load, the distribution load, such like weight, vehicle, something like this, is a direct action. Indirect action cause structure deformation and restraint deformation. What type of the action belongs to indirect action? An example. Is the difference between the direct or direct load? Indirect action.
Maybe the material they use in the construction.
No. The action, maybe the load more the vehicle, the car pass, or the wind. Why?
When the airplane is direct load. Yeah.
But they all like the same suite.
For example,
when it's stable, when every structure is stable, so it's in direction.
Maybe actually, maybe they don't use the correct amount of the materials in building down to collapse.
not this. My question is, so for this direct action and indirect action, do you know the difference between these two? Different, I would say,
Oh, okay. Direct is when the load is applied to the material directly, but indirect is when it's applied but not directly to the structure.
The structure.
Or it's about the time, the impact directly brusque, is brittle or is not.
Is the motion that the pressure or the compression of the load. So after this maybe the structure we do some motion. So if it's doing motion, it's direct action. If it's not doing motion, it's indirect.
Not this. Actually, you see, even the vehicle move or just static, it's all direct load for the structure, for the bridge. For example, for the settlement of the pile or the base or the crippled concrete or the shrinkage, we have lesson learned. So like this creep and the shrinkage, the deformation of the wall of the concrete maybe got smaller shrinkage. Those deformation will induce the internal force of the structure. But this type of the creep or shrinkage is not a direct action. Actually, it's an indirect action. Direct action is like you put maybe 1,000 ton load on the structure, or you plus maybe 100 meters per second wind or something like this. It's very straight or very direct. You know this load action on this structure, but the shrinkage and the creep, how to?
Yeah.
So can you tell me how large the value of the load? Or you can see But those deformation can induce the internal force.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. Direct action, you cannot go to the exact value of the load. The self-weight, the load of the vehicle or the load of people, maybe you can say it's 100 tons or 100 kilometers, something like this. But for this indirect action, it's very hard to gather the exact value, how much of the load is it, but it can induce the internal force. Besides the create shrinkage, what other situation can you example the indirect action? But sometimes the wind induces the extent of the concrete or something like that, also induces the internal force. And also the movement of the base or the settlement of
Foundation.
Yeah.
Like the basement of a building.
Yeah, maybe the different deformation and the parts, the different deformation of the earth. I remember the settlement of this settlement is T-true. Foundation settlement. Foundation settlement is also one type of the indirect force, indirect action. So that's for the action we divide into these two different types: direct action and indirect action. So here, make example for the imposed deformation, meaning that the structure is forced to be deformed, such as the uniform settlement of the base and the seismic constrained deformation is the shrinkage and the tension of the structural material, and the deformation is restrained by the structure bearing, something like this. And also automatic temperature change, all those belong to the indirect action.
Actually, you can also say even grip. Grip.
Yeah. Shrinkage and creep actually is all belong to the indirect action. So the failure is part of the structure, or structure cannot meet the requirement of design specified function and meet or exceed the limited value corresponding to the carrying capacity limit. Failure probability is probability that the structure fail and can be expressed use this probability formula. So from this formula we can get a value. Maybe 95% or 7% we describe got the probability to describe the reliability. So structure reliable probability, we can use this formula PR reliable equal to 1 minus F of the field. So reliability index of the structure is used to measure structure reliability. So we got another one, reliability index, right? Here we use this bad, this symbol to represent this reliability index of structure. So how to calculate this reliability index? Equal to MC divided by sigma Z. where mz is the mean of the function z and its standard deviation in function z. Z is this, z equal to r minus s. So the mean value, m is the mean, and sigma is the standard deviation. So you know the standard deviation because it's a random process. So it's not a stable value, it's random. Then the standard deviation means the, how to say, you know how to calculate this? Actually, this belongs to the mathematics. Standard deviation. How to calculate standard deviations?
Derivative.
Forget this formula and check. Standard deviation. Yeah, it's like this. Equal to square xi minus x squared sigma
Minus. Okay. So.
sigma I to n divided by n. Yeah, like this.
Good.
So this is the standard deviation. So once we got the standard deviation and the mean value, you can calculate the beta reliability index. So is this index larger better or smaller is better? I mean this index at we got this value. If the value is larger, is better, or if it's smaller, is better.
Better.
I think it's small.
Smaller. Actually, see, so we got this table. This value actually larger is better. Larger means you get high reliability.
Yeah.
But why? Actually, from this calculation, if you got the book, you can see the real process progress. Let's see. Let me see. For this curve, this is the normal distribution. For this, the curve is for the normal distribution. You have ever done this? is like a distribution code like this.